Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and just look at the latest puzzle from the man who always hits the sort of graphical heights as well as the Sudoku heights, Ricky Cruz. In fact, let me show you the thumbnail from this. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. Based on Frogger, of course, the arcade game, which I remember well from my youth. It wasn't really misspent, but I did used to enjoy the arcades on the seaside and places like Morecambe and Blackpool, playing games like Joust, Mr. E. Don't know if any of you remember those. And then on my BBC Micro at home, games like Chucky Egg. Anyway, this is Frogger. And Ricky, of course, is an absolute master of turning these, slightly older topics into magnificent Sudoku puzzles. Many of you will have tried his Cluedoku, which actually was so popular it's appearing in our book. In fact, speaking of our book, the book is not that far away now. I'm hoping that we will send it to print within the next month, which would be really exciting. So watch this space because, it's going to be a real thing quite soon. I need to thank you all as well before we go any further, because yesterday we hit the astonishing total, literally astonishing, of 333,333 subscribers. 1/3 of a million people have decided to subscribe to Cracking the Cryptic, and that is absolutely ridiculous. That our little channel devoted to solving these weird and wonderful creations could have reached those sorts of numbers. Well, it's baffling, and it shows that there must be a puzzle god, and that is a good thing. And we only have 667,000 approximately to go in order to get a gold plaque. So if anyone has any influence over how quickly we get there, please exert it positively. We would be most grateful. Now, what else do I need to mention? I don't think there's much else. Do have a look at what we've got going on Patreon. It's always exciting over there. And the feedback for the Wonders of the World Sudoku Hunt is fantastic. So, and actually, I've been struck by the fact that a lot of the comments are from people who have never solved a Sudoku Hunt before. And they're saying this is their first one. They didn't think they'd be able to do it, and they have been able to do it, and they have really enjoyed it. So that is fantastic. Now, what are the rules of Ricky's puzzle? And the testing reports on this, by the way, say that it is a really wonderful puzzle and not too difficult. So do have a go, especially if you have any love of Frogger, and who doesn't? Right, the rules. It's time to hit the arcade. In this grid, you need to take Frogger across the road and the river to reach one of the coloured frogs at the top end of the screen. Normal Sudoku rules apply. In addition, there is an orthogonally connected path starting at Frogger. Frogger is in row 9, column 5, it tells us. So this is Frogger. And we need to go along this orthogonally connected path to collect the flies in the grid. So you can see there are some flies around. I don't think that was in the original game. At least I don't remember them. And we need to... The path ends at one of the coloured frogs in the first row. So that's one of these circles, I'm presuming. In fact, let's go back to the graphic. That might be more helpful for these purposes. So here we can see Frogger very clearly. The flies are much more clear, and there are some frogs at the top of the grid. Right. The path cannot touch itself orthogonally, but can touch itself diagonally. Okay. The path also cannot go through the bushes in the first row. The green cells in row 1. That's actually even a little bit hard to see on that one. Let's go back to this one. Okay. So you can see we've got some green cells in row 1. We can't visit those. I understand that. Right. Cars and logs are found in the road and the river, respectively. Okay. They appear in those regions wherever two horizontally adjacent digits sum to 10. Frogger cannot go through cars and can only hop across logs in the river. What I'm struck by firstly is how thematically beautiful this setup is. So we're going to be able to find cars on the road. So there are cars in the grey cells wherever horizontally adjacent digits sum to 10. And we must avoid cars. which is exactly like we had to do in the Frogger game. And then in the river, the same criteria where you have horizontal digits that add up to 10, we actually have to use those in order to get across the river in order to meet our true love on the other side. So that's, I think, what we have to do. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And look at this. I have got an absolute multitude of given digits. This is so rare. Oh, I'm going to get excited here. Look, I'm going to just go ham on this. Let's put in as many things as we can using the given digits. There's going to be a 4 in one of those. Is there only 1 2 in the grid? There is only 1 2. That's not going to be where we look. 3s. 3s! I can put a digit in the grid straight away. That is also a rarity on this channel. 3s go in one of those 2 squares. 4s, I don't think I can do much more with 4s. 5s, yeah, I can get a pencil mark on 5s, and I'm happy to take that. 6s, no, I don't think so. 7s, yeah, 7s I can get a pencil mark there, and therefore at the top of the grid. That's all, I think. 8s, oh well, there are a few 8s. 8s is locked into one of 2 positions in box 7. And one of 2 positions in box 4. Anything else going on with 8s? I'm not sure. 9s, only 2 9s, and I think they lock a 9 into one of those squares. So we got 1 digit from that, and we got we got 2 rows and columns that have 5 digits in them. So I'm going to look at these as well. 2, 4, 5, and 7 into this row. There's this square's got to be a 2, can't be 4, 5, or 7. That locks a 2 into one of those 2 squares. This square's a 5, it can't be 4 or 7. So we're actually making rapid progress with Sudoku for once. This is extremely unusual. That's a 4-7 pair. 5. Has that done anything else? It's given us 5 digits in this column as well. Which one should we check first? This one or this one? Let's do this one. 1, 3, 6, and 9. So, no, bobbins, that's not useful. This square can be a 1 or a 6. Let's look at this one then. So this one we've got 1, 7, 8, or 9. That one can only be 7 or 8, I think. Sort of overlapping with a fly, which makes it quite hard to see the pencil mark. But apart from that, I think that's what we can do. So now what do we do? Have we got any other densely packed areas of this grid that we can try and get? Look, we've got 5 digits in this column as well. I missed that. 2, 6, 8, and 9. So these 2 squares can only be. I will pencil mark that. 2, 6. Shall I? Oh yeah, 8. Yes, 6 and 9. Looking at this, so this can only be 2 or 8, I think. Right. So maybe now we have to look at Frogger, do we? So let's just have a think about this. So Frogger is here. He has to pick up flies. There are lots of flies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got to pick up 7 flies. And then he's got to make his way to one of the cells in the top row. And when he crosses this area, he mustn't hit cells that add. So he can't hit those cells because they add up to 10. So they are a car. Actually, I'm just going to highlight that then. I'm going to make those red. So the path begins here. I'll make the path we're looking for green. Green for Frogger seems the right colour, doesn't it? So I've got to avoid Have we got anything else? If that was a 7, then this would be a car. There's always going to be a car on one. Well, either this is a car if the 3 is here, or if the 3 is here, this is a car. And it is quite, I mean, these two flies are quite far apart. I mean, if we go this way, and we don't actually have to go straight that way, we could, or do, we may have to actually, especially now this is here, because we can't go up and then down. So I think we might have to go straight there, because otherwise we're going to start touching ourselves orthogonally. And don't let your Frogger touch himself orthogonally. So he's not going to want to go along the rows like that, because he's almost certain to bump into cars, isn't he? So he's going to have to sort of duck up here, and then it's going to be quite constrained to do this, however he does it. If he goes this way to start with, he can pick this up, but then he's got to get right down here. That's probably wrong. I don't know. Anyway, this is all conjecture. How do we actually do this? We've got to spot... 9 in one of those two squares is going to create a car, isn't it? Oh, there's something simple, sorry. Okay, given that Frogger has to reach this square because this is a fly, this can't be a 9, because if it's a 9, it's a car, and Frogger's not allowed to go on cars, so that must be the 9. And that took the pencil mark of an 8. Which took the pencil mark of a 2, which took the pencil mark of a 7. And that seems to have just finished that box off, which seems a bit good to be true, or too good to be true. That's going to be a 4 now. I'm a bit worried I've just made a mistake there, I have to say. I'll keep going, but I am very prepared to unwind what I've just done. The chance of getting a full box in a Sudoku this early is remote. 8 now, look, has to go in that square. 4 has to be in one of those two positions by Sudoku. This is a car. Let's turn it red. Okay, we've got an 8 here, and this square is a 7 or an 8, so that must be a 7. Now this column needs 1, 8 and 9. That square can't be 8. This box needs 5, 6 and 8. 8 must be in one of those two squares, therefore. I'm actually going to pencil mark this because I think it might not be a bad idea. Look, one of these is a car again. So we've got a car in one of these and a car in one of these. And Frogger can never come into this 2x2 in the bottom left corner anymore, because to do so, in turning, his path will hit itself. So we can rule all this out from being in the path. So does that mean Frogger has to come through this gap? I suppose not, actually. Frogger could come this way. He's got to come to this square. He could come this way and then sort of just... Oh, he's got to duck down and... Ah, right. That's not going to work, is it? I was about to say Frogger could come this way and then duck down and pick up this fly here, like doing something like that. But he can't do that because of the 7-3 combination here. Ah, this is important. So, if this is a 3, I don't think it matters, but if this is a 3, you can see that's therefore a car, and the only way of getting to the fly is going to be to come down here, through this gap. And you can see that's going to force Frogger to start in that direction. Now, if this is not the 3, and this is the 3, I think the thing to realise there is that we still can't pick up this fly from above anymore. Because if I try and dip in and dip up, dip down and dip up again, I will touch myself. And we mustn't do that. At least not in Sudoku. So, this is not going to work. And that means the only way of getting to this fly is through here. So this is a pathway. And once this is a pathway, we must keep going. Frogger must have what, it must be a continuous path we're building. So Frogger never comes to this square because this would be orthogonally connected. But Frogger still has to get to that square. This doesn't seem right to me. Hang on a moment. Oh, no, I see. How on earth do you go about setting something like this? This is really, really clever. Look at we know there's a car in one of these two positions. Now given we have to come down here, imagine this was a car. How are you ever going to get to this square and get out again? You can't do it. There's not enough room. So this can't be a car. The car must go in those two positions. Therefore, this square must be an 8. Therefore, this square is not an 8. And now we can get to this fly and get out again, which is what we're going to have to do. So the path must come through there and come out here. And it can't take this square, otherwise it can't pick this square up without touching itself orthogonally. So that's red, and therefore the whole bottom of the grid turns green. Everything's getting a little bit sludgy, but this is what happens when you cross dirty roads. Now we have to take this square. So this square cannot be a 3, because otherwise that's creating a car there. So the car must be this way, and this square must be a 3. This is absolutely brilliant. Now we've got to extend the path here. Extend the path here. All 3 of these path segments are orthogonally adjacent to flies. Therefore, we can't sort of wander off and then come back and pick up the fly, or axiomatically, we will touch the path. The path will touch itself orthogonally, and you've already been warned about that, so don't do that. That's got to be green. So now we can see that the path can never come to any of these squares because they're all orthogonally connected, therefore it can never get to that square. And most of row 6 turns red. Okay. I've got an 8 here now, so that means I've got a 5-6 pair. This square can't be a 3 anymore. That looks like that's got to be a 5 or a 6. Okay, let's just take stock for a moment. Let me think about this. So the path starts going this way, and then at some point, we don't know how it does this, but it's going to have to connect with this segment, isn't it? Because if it connects with that segment, you can never get this segment to touch a frog in the top without having the path orthogonally, well, in fact, run over itself. So this has got to connect here somehow, but we don't know how it does it. And then it's going to come out here. But now, whenever the path goes on the blue, we've got the opposite to what we had with the grey down here, in the sense that if we visit the blue, it must be on a log. So this square, it can never come to the 3, because the 3 cannot be a log square, because to be a log square, this would have to be a 7, and make sure this domino added up to 10. So this must turn this way. Now this is getting very interesting, because if Frogger continues one more cell onwards, he creates a ring, And Frogger doesn't want to be on a ring path. He doesn't, so it must now then go upwards. Therefore, this square must be a log. So this square must be the complement of this. This must be 1, 9, or 2. But I suppose the thing is, the path doesn't actually have to come to this square. It just, we could dive off the log this way. So although we've come up here, I'm not sure. Although we have the option to come to this square, we don't have to do it. This square is red for certain. That square cannot be visited. This square cannot be visited because it would be touching itself orthogonally. The colours are getting very grimy, aren't they? Okay. Now, have we learned any more about Sudoku from all this? I don't know. This column, maybe 1, 2, 4, and 7. That's got, that's a 1 or a 2. That's got to be 1, 2, or 7. Okay. Oh, Sudoku. Let's go back to Sudoku now. 8 has got to go in that cell. So 8 is in one of these two squares. 8 is not here. 1, 9 pair in box 3 now. Oh, I understand that. Right. Now, Frogger is currently in this position. Now, can he come to this position? The answer is no, because this is not a log. How do I know this is not a log? Well, it's because I can't put 1 or 9 in either of those cells, because this is a 1, 9 pair. This is just absolutely ridiculously clever. So Frogger now comes here. We know that that's a log, so this is a 2. I could have got that a moment ago, but I forgot. 2 is in one of those 3 positions. Don't think I know which one. Frogger can't create a ring, so he can't come to this square, so that square's red. Frogger's got to move up, hit the fly, which I could have got that a different way if I just looked at the fly. Frogger doesn't come there, therefore. Colours are going crazy. So now this square must be green, mustn't it? And so it's very likely this square is green. That will allow the frog to move that way and up. So this square is part of the white strip in the middle, though, isn't it? So this square is perfectly... It's not restricted in the way that if Frogger comes up to this square, this will have to be a log square, so there would need to be a 6 in one of those two positions for that to be possible. Which might or might not be possible. I don't know. Okay, where do we look now? We can look at... Do I do Sudoku? That square can't be a 2, look. I should probably do Sudoku. There's a 2 in one of those two positions, therefore. Ah. Oh, yeah, okay. In fact, just look at those 2s. I was wondering how this was working, but if we just look at where 2 can go in this box, it can only go here. So that's a 2. 2 must be in one of those squares. Is that helpful? 2, 8. 3 has to be in one of these squares, but I think we've known that for a while. Not sure. Is anyone seeing anything? Maybe by telepathy you could give me a hint. This 2 means that's not a 2. These squares are a snooker maximum, 147. 47. 5. 5, actually, 5 is an interesting digit in the top, in the blue, because 5 can never be on a log square, because it would have to be accompanied by another 5. So in fact we can just fill these 2 squares in red. Oh, and this poor pink one is definitely not Frogger's friend then, because this one can never be visited. She's got hedges on both sides and a 5 below her, which is basically just empty water that Frogger doesn't feel comfortable in, even though he's a frog. So Frogger has to get this one, but we don't know if he dips up here to do it and then goes. Oh, he can never come through there, can he? This is effectively a gate, because this is a 1-9, and you can't put a 1-9 either side of it. So that square, so the red one is also definitely not Frogger's friend. So red and pink are lonely frogs. For this to be visited, this would have to be a 7, which looks like it might be possible. What's this fly, actually? Because this fly must be on a log. And it can't be 1, 2, 3 or 4. And it can't be a 5, because a log can't be a 5. So it's got to be 6, 7, it can't be 8, can't be 9. This is a 6 or a 7, quite hard to see on top of the fly. Its counterpart must be here. This must be 3 or 4. And 3 or 4 is... Please don't be possible. It's, or at least one of them not be possible. Not sure though. I think actually that is possible. I'm feeling I'm missing something there, but it looks like this is all doable. This column needs 1, 3, 6 and 9. Let's double check this. 1, 3, 6 and 9. That can't be 3. This one, don't think we know. This one, oh, this is on the road, isn't it? I've got to be careful with the road, because I can hardly see the road anymore for redness. This is road. Now, does that matter for anything? This is road, but it's not Frogger path. So the ones I've got to be careful with are these 3. These must not be in a 10 relationship. That one can't be, because it's next to a 5, so that one's completely fine. This one, I don't think we actually know about this one yet. This one could still be problematic. So this one we've got to keep an eye on. This one, all we know about it is it can't be 6, because if it's 6, it would be on a car, because it's next to a 4. So that, well, that gives us a bit of Sudoku look, because now 6 can't be in either of those 2 cells, so it must be up there. So no, I don't get a 2-6 pair at all. Sorry, I was misreading my pencil marks, but I get the fact that there's a 6 in one of these cells. And I'm noting, oh, I see. Right, now, how could this be visited? How could this cell be visited? Only if it's a log. To be a log, there must be a 6 next to it, which there can't be now. So this 6 is telling us that this is not part of the path. And if this is not part of the path, the froggy must go this way. And that look, now we've completed the bottom of the path. So now we can label all of those squares as red because they are orthogonally connected. Now, how do we get to this fly? Well, the frog is currently here, but he's got to get here. The only way is to come through this little gap. So all of those 3 squares are frog path. Which means the frog never visits the blue one. All of this comes out. So now whatever this is in a log relationship with this square, because we know this one is in a log relationship with this square. So this square has got to be 1, 9, 7 or 4. And you would think, but you would be wrong, that would be in some way limited, but it doesn't seem to be. Okay. Or even if I could rule out 2 from there, then the frog couldn't come upwards. Eight is now not possible in any of those 3 squares. So this 8 locks 8 into one of those 2 squares. That gets me an 8 here. Five now. Five in this box is a bit more restricted. 5's got to be in one of those 2 squares, so it can't be there. This is 5. 5 can't be a log. This 5 means that the Frogger can't come to this square because it would need a 5 here. So this is red. Froggy must come up here, must turn. Oh, now I could use uniqueness now. I'm not going to, of course, but look. The frog could, I think, just move up into this one, and that would be fine. So let's imagine the frog instead ended up in this one. How would we know that this was the correct path, given that the frog could have come to this one? We wouldn't. So there's going to be some reason that the frog can't go into this path, I think. But I'm not just going to put this in as the final move, but I'm pretty sure we'll find that it is the final move. So now, this was a log. This needs to be in a log relationship, and it can't be in a log relationship with the 5, because Frogger comes to this square. So this is a 2. That means that's a 2 in column 2, look. So this is 6 or 9. This 2, actually, look, I can put a 2 there as well, and that looks like I can get a 5 as well. That gets me 5s and 6s at the bottom of the grid. It gets me a 7 here. That 7, I can see, is actually giving me a 7 here. But it's also doing some other things. This is a log, so that must be a 3. I got rid of 7. Oh, that's the same principle. I'm just getting rid of 3 and 7 as the option from this. 4 here means that square's a 4, look. This square must be whatever's missing from that box up there, which seems to be a 6. These 2 squares are a 1-9 pair. Don't know if we know the order. Can't see how to tell. This 5 gives us a 6 here. So these squares at the bottom, this 6 gives us a 1 here. That was a good pencil mark. 1, 1 and 1 come out. 6-9 pair means this square is a 3. We need to put a 6 in this row. It's got to go here. Those squares at the bottom now are 4 and 5. Doesn't look like we know the order. These squares are 3 here. That gives me a 3 on this fly. this, hang on, what do I need? 2. I need 2 in this box. That must be 2. I think I'm getting colourblind now. I hope you'll forgive that. 1, 9 here. These squares have got to be 1, 5 or 9. Don't know if we know how to do that yet. This is a 1, 6 or a 9. One, 6 or 9. So how do we finish this off? I know, we've got a 6 here, so that square's a 9. That must be a 9, that must be a 1. That's not a 1 anymore. And that finishes it off, because now this can't be a log, because to be a log, the 9 would have to be next to a 1, which it now can't be. How did you set this, Ricky? This is it's just brilliant. So now the frog goes there. So we now know that Froggy made his friends with the orange. But now we're probably not going to get any more 6, 9 pairs. So that's not 9. We're probably not going to get too much more from the actual restraints due to the frog path. This 9 gives us a 6 here. So this becomes a 1, 9 pair, which means that square needs to be the balance. So is it a 6? I've not put in that column yet. I think so. That means we get the 9 and the 6 here and here. This row needs 4 and 7. So this is 4 or 7. And 1, 7 and 8 into those squares. Now what can we get rid of? We can get rid of 8 there, so this square must be an 8. Okay, I'm not exactly sure. Am I missing something here then? This square is on the path and I haven't... Ah, yeah, I am missing something because this is a log square. This is all part of the... It's hard to tell now, but this was all part of the river. So this must be in a relationship with another cell that adds to 10. The only square is that one. That is a 4. That gets me the 4 and the 5 at the bottom of the grid. That gets me a 5 here, it seems. This 4 gets me a 7 at the top of the grid, which gets me a 1 here, and a 7 here, and a 4 here, and a 1 here. This 1 gives me a 9. That gets me the 9 and the 1. That gets me the 9 and the 1. I still need to put a 1 into this box, and I also need to put, what is it, a 7 into that box. And I think that is the finished solution. Let's click tick. Yes, it is. It's just fantastic. It's a fantastic puzzle. And it's amazing how intricate and thematic you can make a puzzle, even with a stack load of givens. It's just beautiful. It really is beautiful to me, this. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of the logic, I mean, even the really early logic, this 9 was really crucial, wasn't it? Because we realised that 9 couldn't be on a fly. And that sort of set the train in motion. I'll set the frog in motion. It's beautiful, fantastic, loved it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. I do read them, I do look forward to them, and yeah, especially when they're nice. And thanks again for the 1/3 of a million subscribers. Madness. And we'll be back later with another edition of Madness and Cracking the Cryptic.